Hi, Carly, great to meet you. My name is Kyle Ann Poland. I have been a learning professional for more than 15 years, let's just put it that way. And I am super excited to be here. I have been in training and development for some large companies. I've done some consulting. My latest job has been with JPS Health Network, which is the county hospital in Fort Worth, Texas, and I think it's the seventh or eighth largest employer in Tarrant County. We are the safety net, and we are the professional development side of training and development. I personally do leadership training. I have two programs I lead. One is for frontline leaders, our team leads and supervisors, and the other is for any manager or director with 2 years or less. So a new leader program to help them make that transition from being an individual contributor into a leader.
Awesome. Nice meeting you. All right. So the first question is, how and where did you get in your professional start in training?
I fell into it, and it's really interesting because this may have happened to you and to some of the folks listening. You find people say the same things over and over again, and finally it sinks in. So I was in IT. I did desktop support. And a lot of times when I would go and help someone with a problem, I would say, so the reason this happened is, or here's what you might do. And kind of what's behind this is, and this is the phrase people would say, oh, no one ever explained it to me before. That's not hard. And what you'll find out is there isn't anything hard. It's just someone taking the time to break it down and explain it to you. So after I'd been in IT for a while and supporting Microsoft Office, I got asked while I worked at Radio Shack if I could train people in Microsoft Office. So I started doing that. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I learned some things the hard way as we went along, and then eventually got some training in instructional design and adult learning theory and some really fantastic techniques. Highly recommend Bob Pike's Train the Trainer Boot Camp or his book if that's something that people are interested in, and also just some different certifications, and I learned a lot through that.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. So the next question is, what do you find most challenging about being in training?
What I find challenging about being in training also goes along with how I keep myself current, which I know was a question that was asked as well. And what I find challenging is that it's a broad field. You can be on the technical side, you can be on the instructional design side, you can be on the e-learning side, you can be what I am, which is a stand-up trainer. And everyone, though, just expects you to know 100% of every piece of it. So sometimes I have to say, okay, let me do some research on that. Let me look into that, because I just don't do it every day. Or I have to say, that is outside of my area of expertise. Where I can be most effective is. So I find that challenging, that people who are not in the field, which is most of my customers, don't understand how broad it is and all the different skill sets you have to be in that field. And so I kind of have to explain to them how it works. Another thing I find challenging is a lot of times people have no idea how much time it takes to build a good program or a good course. They think we just pull it out of a bag. And honestly, when you've been doing it a long time, it gets easier. But to build a really good program with all the pieces and parts takes a long time. I think, standard wisdom is 40 hours of development for 1 hour of stand-up training. And with e-learning, it's 3 to 4 times that. And it's even more complicated. And that's one reason I don't do e-learning. I find the instructor-led is a lot more fun dealing with the people, but it takes a long time to build it. So trying to help people understand what's involved in that. And it's just a matter of sharing the process with them.
Awesome. So the next question is, how do you stay on top of the trends and changes in your field?
Exactly. Well, a couple of things I do. I'm actually rocking an old ASTD t-shirt. We used to be the American Society for Training and Development, but then they said that makes us an STD. So now we are Association for Talent Development, and ATD is a great organization. You can join at the national level, and with national you get big data and trends and things like that, and lots of resources. And you can also join at the local level. So your local ATD chapter, there's one in Dallas, one in Fort Worth, both great chapters. That's where you make the connections and the contacts. So the way I sneak by on the parts I don't know very well is I say, let me call someone I know who's an expert in this. And sometimes I can rope them into a conference call to say, look, this is what you need to think about. Or let me see what I can find out about that. So I'll call someone I've met at an ATD meeting and say, you do this or you know this. What do I need to think about? What do I need to know? A perfect example is we want to do mobile learning. Let's just take everything we do and just put it on our phone. Thinking, oh, how hard could that be? So I talked to some people and it's like, wow, that's a lot harder than I would think it was. And so it gave me enough, I kind of call it nodding knowledge. The other resource, and this is a really good one and good for HR professionals as well as training professionals, there's a website called Training Mag Network, Training Magazine Network. They used to have a print version, I think they still do, but it's electronic now. But they have all of these free webinars on any topic you can think of. They're typically an hour or less, and if you can't join, you can typically, if you register for them, you can see the recording. So many free resources. Now, fair warning, you probably will get an email from whoever sponsored it, but you know, that just goes along with the territory. And I've learned so much. I learn from the content that's presented, but most of them have chat where people are going back and forth. So when they talk about where can you find free clip art and what tools do you use for this, other people are saying we use this, we use that. So not only do you get some great ideas, often free, it also gives you a picture of what other people are using. So those are ways I keep myself educated, and they're super easy for others to learn more about any specific topic.
Awesome. So what advice would you give to anyone wanting to break into the training, learning, and or development area?
So before I was in IT 100 years ago, I lived in New York City and I was in theater. And in theater, they used to talk about someone being a triple threat. A triple threat is someone who can sing, who can dance, and who can act. And I think in training, if you can, as much as you can, you want to be a triple threat. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I would take as many opportunities. If you can pick up an e-learning tool or learn, there's webinars on how to build e-learning in PowerPoint and the fundamentals and the concepts. That's super popular. And if you're a good e-learning developer, part IT, part programmer, part learning and development, that's a great way to do that. And take every training opportunity you can. I got laid off in 2006. I'd never been laid off. I'd never looked for work before. People just tapped me on the shoulder and said, come work for us, until 2006, downturn of the economy. And that's when I really started to work on my network. And that's the other advice too, is build your network. Work with other training professionals at ATD, at other organizations. Build those networks, because you never know when you're going to need them or need to rely on them. I also would say if you have the money to take a certification course, great. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of free stuff online. So you can find great websites. Mind Tools is a great website that has lots of good information, some of it free, some of it requires a membership, but you can learn adult learning theory, you can learn instructor-led secrets, you can learn fun activities for free, and then use them. And don't be afraid to branch out. You've got to try things, and it's so easy to just stand at the front of the room and talk. But the more fun you make it and the more new things you try, the more you interest your learners. And my last piece of advice is anytime in training, the more you can get your learner to do the work, the smarter they think you are, and the better you'll learn, and they will learn as well. That's my thought.
Good advice. All right. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. My name is Carly Christian, and thank you, Kylan, for talking with us today. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Carly. Thank you for the opportunity.